Okay, let's jump right in. We've got this fascinating set of sources today, and they all promise something pretty big.
Hmm.
An immediate high leverage return on, your conversational efforts.
Yeah.
We're not digging into deep grammar rules or anything like that.
No, not at all. This is about pure functional fluency.
Exactly.
Our mission today really is a deep dive into the absolute essentials, the core of everyday English. Forget the idea that you need thousands and thousands of words.
Right.
We are pulling out the 8 most critical phrases, the ones native speakers use every single day. And these act as, well, they're like immediate efficiency tools. They bridge that gap between just knowing the words and actually sounding confident.
It really feels like a shortcut. A
Mhm.
shortcut to conversational competence. And for you listening, if you're looking for those tools that can instantly elevate your speech, this is it. The sources gave us a perfect structure for this.
Yeah, they really did.
We're going to categorize these 8 phrases by their function, how they actually work in a real conversation, from starting a chat all the way to
Mhm.
managing logistics and even smoothing over some of those little social bumps.
Think of it like unlocking a social code. If you start to integrate these 8 tools, and you can start today, you won't just speak more naturally, you'll actually reduce the cognitive load.
So what?
The mental effort of building sentences from scratch in real time. It's all about having these high quality pre-assembled responses ready to go.
I like that, pre-assembled responses.
Hmm.
So let's get into our first category. This one is foundational. Establishing and affirming connection.
Mm-hmm.
These are the phrases you use to start, to affirm, or just generally signal a positive, warm engagement. And we have to start with the big one. The greeting that replaces the sometimes stuffy, how are you?
Yeah, the standard greeting can feel a little transactional. It's like checking a box linguistically.
If you actually answer, how are you,
Mm-hmm.
with a long, real story, people kind of panic.
They do. And that's what leads us straight to our very first essential phrase, the universal opener. How's it going?
How's it going?
What's so interesting here is the expectation it sets. When you ask, how's it going, her? You're signaling informality. You're signaling openness.
Okay.
It implies that a slightly longer, more personal response is possible. It's not required, but it's possible. Compare that to, how are you? Which, often just gets that scripted, fine, thank you.
And the example from the source material is just perfect. It's the gold standard of casual fluidity. Speaker A says, hey, how's it going?
And B just says, it's going well, thanks.
That's it. It's efficient, but the really crucial part is the tone. The whole thing just signals relaxation. It's a very, very low-stress interaction.
Exactly. And okay, so once you've made that connection, you immediately need tools for agreement, for comprehension that go beyond just a simple yes,
Oh, that's a good point. Just saying yes over and over can make you sound a little...
passive,
Yeah.
or, unengaged.
Right. Which brings us to 2 really distinct phrases for agreeing. The first one is very focused on action, on a proposal. It's, that sounds good.
This is your go-to. Whenever someone makes a suggestion you like, you accept. It basically means, I agree to the plan, or I like that idea. And the beauty of it is that it focuses on how the idea sounds.
The audible presentation of it.
Exactly. It suggests this immediate positive acceptance.
I can totally see the utility here. So if a friend says, hey, let's practice English together at the cafe tomorrow, if you reply with, that sounds good,
Mm.
it just communicates enthusiasm. It communicates acceptance of the activity.
Mm-hmm. It makes the plan feel concrete, exciting.
Yeah. Now, contrast that with the next phrase, which is, that makes sense. This is where the nuance really comes in.
It really is.
Because if I reply to that cafe suggestion with, that makes sense,
Right.
it feels a little weird. Why is that?
Because that makes sense is about intellectual agreement. It's not about enthusiastic plan acceptance. It signals that you've processed the logic behind what was said, you understood the connection, and you found it valid. So if I say we should practice daily to improve, replying that makes sense shows you grasped the causality, the link between practice and improvement.
Oh, okay. So it's a powerful tool for you, the listener, because it proves you're comprehending.
Mhm.
It signals, I'm not just translating the words you're saying, I actually get the concept.
Totally.
So if you're in a meeting and someone explains a complicated new policy, using that makes sense is so much more professional, more insightful than just nodding your head.
Absolutely. So, just there, we've armed you with 3 tools for a positive exchange: an authentic opener, enthusiastic acceptance of a plan, and then this intellectual affirmation of an idea. You're immediately signaling that you are highly engaged.
That distinction, The one between action agreement and intellectual agreement, that's exactly the kind of nuance our sources are so good at capturing.
Hmm.
But what happens when the conversation moves past simple agreement? What happens when you don't have the information or you just can't commit right away?
And that is our perfect transition into section 2. Managing uncertainty and follow-up.
Right.
Because in professional life, or really any dynamic conversation, not being able to commit immediately can be incredibly stressful for a speaker. These next 3 phrases are designed specifically to reduce that stress and to manage the other person's expectations.
This feels like a mark of a really competent communicator, knowing how to avoid making commitments you can't actually keep.
Precisely. You're using these phrases to buy yourself some time or to clearly delegate a task to the future. So we start with the simplest one, just acknowledging that you're in a state of ambiguity. I'm not sure.
Hang on, why is "I'm not sure" better than just saying "I don't know"? They seem, functionally the same.
They are similar, but the tone is what's different. I don't know, can be very definitive. It can almost sound dismissive, like it's ending the conversation right there.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'm not sure, especially if you add yet on the end, I'm not sure yet, it implies a temporary state. It signals that you're still processing or that the information is on its way.
I see. So it softens the denial of knowledge. If someone asks, "Are you free tomorrow?"
Hmm.
and you genuinely don't know, saying, "I'm not sure yet," it keeps the door open. It feels much less abrupt. It buys you some breathing room.
And once you've bought that time, you need to move into action. The next phrase is all about initiating a resolution. It's phrase 6. Let me check.
Ooh, this one is brilliant. It's brilliant because it instantly transforms that uncertainty into a concrete action, a process.
Yeah.
You're telling the other person the immediate step you were about to take.
Exactly. It's proactive. If you're asked, do we have time for one more item on the agenda? And you have to look at the clock, you don't just stall. You fluently say, let me check.
Right.
It sets the expectation that the answer is coming. It's just dependent on this quick action you're taking. It avoids awkward silence, and it signals diligence.
And a lot of the time, that check takes longer than just a few seconds. You might need to check with someone else or look up a file. And that's where the final piece of this sequence comes in, right? I'll get back to you.
This is, I would argue, the most professional of all 8 phrases. Its meaning is clear, I will reply later, but the tonal effect is huge.
It's a boundary setter.
It's a clear boundary setter. It establishes an expectation for a later communication, maybe an email or a call, and it definitively closes the loop on that topic for now.
So if a client asks, "Can you confirm the final numbers by the end of the day?" And you can't. You don't make some vague promise like, maybe tomorrow. You state, "I'll get back to you," which means I'm taking ownership, and I will be the one to reinitiate contact when the answer is ready.
These 3 phrases, I'm not sure, let me check, and I'll get back to you, they're just a critical toolkit. They turn what could be a flustered, doubtful moment into a structured, organized plan. That is efficiency.
Okay, moving on to our final category. And this is maybe the most useful one for just navigating social life. It's navigating social friction. These last 2 phrases, they're essential for diffusing tension, accepting apologies, and just making a conversation feel easier, more comfortable. They're like social oil.
They reduce stress not just for the person who is apologizing or delaying, but for you as the recipient too, because they give you a ready-made, gracious response.
So let's start with the one for granting patience. This is phrase 2 on our list. Take your time.
The literal meaning is obvious, right? No need to hurry. But the insight here is in the generosity it conveys.
Right.
You're telling the other person that the timeline is flexible, that the quality of their response or their action is more important to you than the speed. It's a very polite form of almost conversational dominance, but you're using it for good.
I can just picture a scenario where someone is clearly struggling maybe to remember a name or a date.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just struggling with difficult sentence in English and they say, "Oh, sorry, I'm being slow."
Yeah.
The immediate fluent response is, "That's okay, take your time." You've just instantly removed their self-consciousness. You've given them permission to breathe.
It allows the speaker to focus on clarity instead of rushing to meet some imaginary clock. It's a powerful tool for connection, for comfort.
And finally, we have the phrase that I suspect is the true superstar of casual English communication.
I think I know where you're going with this.
It has to be. No worries.
No worries. This one is fascinating. It's fascinating because of its incredible versatility and the cultural context it carries. Its core meaning is simple, it's okay, or no problem, but it gets used in 2 main ways.
One is obvious. You're accepting an apology. Someone bumps into you, they say, sorry about that. Replying, no worries.
Mhm.
It's just fluid. It dismisses the minor infraction. It keeps the energy low and calm.
Right. But the second context, that's the most revealing one. It's using it instead of "you're welcome."
Yeah.
This is where you really see the cultural shift in casual English. By saying "no worries," you're not just acknowledging their thank you. You're explicitly stating that whatever you did for them required no effort, no inconvenience on your part.
That is a key insight. You're signaling ease. So if I help you move a heavy box and you say thank you, me replying no worries is so much more relaxed than the more formal, almost service industry tone of you're welcome. It's an immediate signal of casual friendship.
Precisely. It just instantly smooths the entire social interaction, whether you're accepting a tiny apology or graciously dismissing a thank you.
So we've covered 8 short, high-leverage phrases. We've got positive connection, managing uncertainty, and smoothing out social friction. Now let's just take a step back and wrap this up by connecting it all back to the core philosophy of our source material.
The key motivation from the sources is powerful, and it directly explains why these specific phrases were chosen. It said, learning English doesn't require long hours. Just learn a few phrases every day. It's all about small, targeted inputs.
And that idea is reinforced by the second part of that quote, which is just as crucial. Small steps create big confidence. So when you, the listener, substitute some complex, self-constructed sentence with one of these prepackaged, perfectly tuned responses, like using, I'll get back to you, instead of stumbling through a deferral, that right there is the definition of a high-yield small step.
You're not struggling to master, the perfect conditional tense. You are mastering social competence. You're acquiring tools that signal fluency. And the speed and authenticity of these responses, it dramatically lowers your anxiety in a conversation.
Think about the cognitive efficiency of it. You are literally skipping the step of mental translation. Instead of building a whole complex phrase to defer a commitment, you just pull out, let me check. That huge reduction in mental friction is what allows you to focus on the content of the conversation, not the mechanics of the language.
We've shown that just 8 core tools can manage polite greetings, secure intellectual agreement, structure follow-ups, and gracefully handle apologies and delays. It's a whole conversational toolkit distilled down to its most essential parts.
And the power of that compression, that efficiency, is what you need to focus on. Now, as we wrap up, we've dissected the meaning and the utility of these 8 phrases, but I want to build on our discussion of no worries.
Okay, what's your theory?
Well, we talked about how how's it going sets a low-stress tone and how no worries signals ease and friendship. So my question for you to think about is this. If your number one goal in a new conversation is to instantly establish the most relaxed, most informal tone possible with a native speaker, which of these 8 phrases is the most powerful single tool for that, and why? I'm leaning toward no worries, but the choice itself reveals a lot about what you prioritize. Is it about establishing the connection from the start, or is it about eliminating any potential for friction later on? That's something to mull over, to analyze as you start using these phrases today. Go out and listen for the tone.